Welcome to Word Wizard 1, which is all about formatting your document. So I've gone into my Office 365 account, office.com, and I've logged on. If you're a Redeem student, then you have a license to use Word, Excel, and so on from office.com, and to download it onto 3 separate devices. The downloaded version is your desktop app. We'll be working in the cloud for the moment. So you go into office.com, and let me show you that quickly. Office.com, and you click plus to create, and you click on a Word document to create a Word document. So back to our document. First element of formatting is to decide what font face you're going to use. It's a good idea to use one font face throughout your document so it doesn't get too disjointed. You can choose to use a serif font. So this is a serif font, the one at the top here. You notice there are little feet, little pedestals at the end of each line in the font. Sans serif is where you don't have those feet. So there's no little pedestal at the bottom of that F or I and so on. Serif font is apparently easier to read when it's printed, and sans serif font when it's on the screen. So if you think about what is the purpose of my document, then is it going to be read on screen or is it going to be read in hard copy? Then you've probably got your answer as to what font to choose. You can choose any font. At the moment here we have, if you can see, it's Aptos Body, 12-point size. This is on the Home tab. You've got your kind of formatting options. So we'll be mainly looking at this section here. This is an essay on climate change that I downloaded off a dodgy site on the internet, which is for students to buy essays that they can then palm off as their own. This explains the poor level of this particular essay. But even if your essay is quite poor, you'll probably want to present it nicely, maybe fool the teacher a little bit. So the first thing to think about is what font face are we going to use. If I go Control A and I select the whole document, the default font is usually Times New Roman 12. So I'm going to just choose that. It's going to be printed, so it's a serif font for printing, and Times New Roman 12 is a default because it suits most users most of the time. So unless you have a real reason to change that, don't. I would suggest don't use really kind of fancy fonts. So if I go down here and I decide to use, is that Baguette Script? Look, it's a lovely font face, but it's virtually illegible. Control A. I'm going to stick to my Times New Roman. Actually, because we're reading it off a screen, I'm going to make it Calibri or Arial instead. So there we are, something that should be quite easy to read. Now, we're going to need to make headings and subheadings and things like that. I want to have a table of contents and really impress my teacher. So to do that, I need to use the preset headings and things that we have. So climate change, that's the title of my essay. Introduction, that is a heading 1. When did it start? That's also a heading 1, in other words, a main heading. So I'm just going to format these. Reason of climate change, poor English there, that's also a heading 1. And then now we get different reasons, so this would become a subheading or a heading 2. And if you're going down to sub-subheadings, then you're probably missing the boat. Another one here, heading 2, and effects of climate change, that's back to another heading 1, a main heading. And that's it. I'm just going to add one, conclusion, because I forgot to put a conclusion. Make sure I spell that correctly. And I put that in there. And that is also a heading 1 style. So I just make sure I've got my spacing correct, and I've now got climate change introduction, and I've got lovely headings and subheadings. It all looks pretty impressive. If I want to add a table of contents, I just went Control Enter to make a new page. I'm just going to go back to my front page and put a table of contents here. I go, not insert, I go to references and I click table of contents, insert table of contents. And you'll notice it puts in my introduction, when did it start, and it indents it nicely. And if I go and I type, and so things change in their page numbers here, I just need to go back, click on it, and then click on the top update, and it will update my table of contents. So it's put in my introduction is on page 1, the effects of climate change are on page 2, here we go, on page 2. So I've now got my essay looking really rather grand. How do I insert page numbers? Because I've got page numbers here and they're coming through, but I need some page numbers. Well, you go insert and you go to page numbers, and you can choose whether to have them as a header or a footer. So I'm going to add page number there, and it's going to add it at the bottom, and you'll notice it's parceled out a header and a footer there, so don't worry too much. If I go include page, then it goes page 1 of 1, etc. So to get out of there, I just go click back in the main body, and if I look down, I can see no page numbers occurring. What's that? Oh, I've added a comment by mistake. Okay, so to insert my page numbers, I'm going to go in page numbers, include the page, put at the bottom page 1 of 1, and you'll notice it's going here hash of hash to include the page numbers. And I'm just going to go back and view my document, put in a reading view, and you can see it's page 1 of 3, page 2 of 3, page 3 of 3. So I've now started to format my document quite pleasingly, and I just want to go back into view. I need to go click on edit the document, and you'll notice I can make quick changes right here using Word, or I can open in the desktop app. So if I choose to edit here, I continue editing in the cloud. If I need added functionality, I need to go into my desktop app. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go open in desktop app, and it says open Word. So you don't close this file, you just allow it to open in your desktop app. That's if you've installed Word on your machine. And what you have now is the Word document with a whole lot more functionality. I'm just going to lift that up here to include the whole screen, and you can see here my page 2 of 3, 1 of 3, my headings, everything is still in place, but now I have some added functionality. I have different options here available. So one option, let me move myself here, is I can change the spacing of my paragraphs. So if I select those paragraphs, I can go into line and paragraph spacing, and I can choose to have 1.5 double spacing. So I can choose to do all of that. If I go Control A, for example, and the other way of getting the paragraph spacing is to go up to where it says paragraph, click on the little arrow there, and I can go down to the spacing. And I can go 0 point before, 0 point after, and then I can change it, for example, to double spacing. Click OK, and it's now double spaced my article. It still shows only 2 of 2, but you'll notice I've now got 4 pages. So I just need to go back into here, and I need to click Update Table, Update Page Numbers Only, update the entire table, so if I've had any changes in the structure. And when I click that, you'll notice it now goes to 4 pages. So I've now got double spacing, I've got my headings, my document is really coming along. Other things I can do, just make sure that I'm on the Home tab there, is if I select everything, Control A, I can change the justification of the paragraphs. So, for example, if I go here on that paragraph ribbon and I click center, I could center everything. I could align everything to the right hand side. The left hand justification is the one that is most usual, but an alternative is to fully justify. And you can notice you can also get that by going Control and J. If I click that, you can see it's justified, it's aligned up against the left-hand margin and the right-hand margin. And that makes it look very professional indeed. So once you've justified your document, you've got a table of contents, you've got your page numbers, everything is pretty much ready to submit as a document. But there's probably one or two final things that you want to do to really format your document. And the first one of those is to run a spell check. So to run a spell check, you can either press F7 and that takes you through a spell check. You'll notice it's got an editing score as well. I'm choosing formal writing rather than professional, and it's checking for spelling and grammar. So it says here that activities is wrong, and so I'm just going to try and find that. A comma between clauses is better here. Due to human activities, but. So I'm going to click a comma there. So it's helped me with a bit of grammar. My grammar count has gone down from 6 to 5. I go down to the next one. Where is the next one? Click on grammar. There we go. Hundreds of reason for. Well, you can see it's considering reasons. So I click that one. Let's change it to reason. It says man due to his need. So it's suggesting man, comma. Yeah, that looks right. Right now, comma. But, comma, it is not. They're suggesting no comma. So I'm going to go with a suggestion, environment, comma, and change, comma, will become extinct. I'm not quite sure what's wrong there, but we're going to accept it anyway. So you can go through and you can correct spelling and grammar mistakes. Once you've done that, you have formatted your document in multiple different ways, and you're probably ready to print and to submit. So now that you've practiced all of those skills on your document, be ready to take the quiz to get your certificate for this section.